I serve as the medical director for Ohio's Department of Medicaid under the guidance of Director Sears. What I'd like to do is to explain a little bit about how and why we landed on these specific limits. These are not random. We actually studied the medical literature. We looked at national and state authorities in this space, but perhaps most importantly, we looked at Ohio-specific data related to prescribing patterns through our prescription drug monitoring program called ORS, Ohio's Automated Reporting System. Our approach was to develop limits in a way that really targeted overprescribing. And what we saw was a bell-shaped curve, and we tried to get that upper limit of the curve and bring it into the fold such that only about 1 or 5 or 6 prescriptions were actually affected. So it's not draconian, but it certainly advances us down this path of safe prescribing. In this way, clinicians, all clinicians, can actually still continue to be part of the solution for safer prescribing. We do know that these recommendations include all clinicians and not just primary care doctors, because the conditions that create acute pain cross all specialties. In addition, we recognize that the strictest prescribing limits may create an access problem due to the administrative burden of clinicians. And this might particularly be an issue for the most vulnerable populations, such as those that we serve in the Medicaid program. As a pediatrician and past deputy coroner, I know firsthand that the issue related to opioid-related deaths affects young people. So folks who are dying tend to be in their early 20s. So we have an extra focus on not starting that very first prescription, which happens for children and adolescents. So you will note that the prescribing guidelines, or limits in this case, are 5 days for adolescents, but 7 for adults, and that's actually why. We also note that this acute pain prescribing limit is a strategy to reduce the number of people who end up on chronic opioids. So we're well aware that we have hundreds and thousands of people who are needing these medications day in and day out, but they started with that first prescription. At this time, it's still our expectation that the chronic pain guidelines will be followed. Doctors still need to be able to alleviate pain and suffering. However, they have a tighter system of safety in place to actually guide that safer prescribing. On a final note, what I might add is that our definition of acute pain is not specific to every condition. You might have a sprained wrist or a tooth that needs to be extracted, and a 7 or 5 day limit is actually far too much for that short duration of pain. So to that end, we have an entire team at our agency in conjunction with other payers in which we are delineating the best evidence of care and safe standards that fall into quality metrics. And thus, we have a basis for which to provide reporting as well as to leverage financial rewards for better care, one of which is safer prescribing. So with that, I'd actually like to turn the podium over